Hello, today we will recap a thriller movie, in which a group of skilled thieves plan a daring heist on a bank located in the heart of Spain. Before we start, please subscribe to our channel for free because we'll upload new videos regularly. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. The movie begins with two scuba divers approaching a sunken ship. They discover several boxes and send them up to the surface. These boxes contain valuable items. Captain Walter, the leader of the mission, is determined to find the most precious artifact. James, an expert diver, risks his life to locate it successfully. However, their celebration is short-lived as Spanish customs authorities apprehend them and confiscate their discovery, claiming that the ship belonged to Spain. But Walter, who had dedicated 30 years to this quest, is unwilling to give up so easily. A year later, we witness the trial proceedings. Margaret, a foreign minister from England, is present as well. Walter had filed a lawsuit because the Spanish government had confiscated his discovery, which he had spent years searching for. However, Walter had no official contract or permission from Spanish authorities to explore the shipwreck. Unfortunately, he loses the case, and all the items he had discovered now belong to the Spanish government. Outside the courtroom, Margaret and Walter have a conversation. The English government had supported Walter in this case, because he had requested the Queen of England to claim half of the discovery. However, after the court's decision, there is nothing more the English government can do to assist him. Now, they hatch a plan to rob the Bank of Spain, considered one of the world's most secure banks, where the artifacts will be temporarily stored. A few months later, we encounter Tom, a 22-year-old engineering prodigy at the University of Cambridge. He is visited by some individuals who recognize Tom's genius. Tom had previously resolved a significant issue related to an oil leak in the Gulf of Mexico with a single groundbreaking idea, greatly benefiting the company involved. Thomas is a smart young guy, and big companies want him to work for them because he's so clever. But Thomas doesn't want a regular job, he wants something exciting. One day, he gets a message from someone offering him an interesting opportunity. He quickly leaves where he is. The waiter gives him his coat, and he finds an invitation in it. The invitation asks him to go to an art gallery to meet someone. After thinking for a bit, he goes to the art gallery. Inside, he looks around with a coin in his hand. Then a girl named Claudia comes up to him, and there's a man there too. She tricks him into signing some official-looking papers. However, as Tom watches, Claudia cleverly steals the man's wallet as well. When he confronts her about taking the wallet, she sneakily hides it in his own pocket. Tom doesn't want to get in trouble, so Claudia suggests he should do what her dad does, even though it seems dull. Tom then asks her what he should do. Claudia takes him to a bar, asks him to sit, and leaves. Then, a man named Walter comes and sits in front of him. Walter knows that Tom has offers from big companies, and Tom realizes Claudia's real name is Lauren. Walter makes Tom an offer and wants his help to break into the world's most secure bank vault. The vault was constructed 80 years ago, and in all those years, nobody has been able to understand how it operates. People around the world call it a marvel of engineering. Walter believes Tom can help. Walter gives Tom a ticket to Madrid, which is Spain's capital, and asks him to think it over. When Tom gets home, he looks up the Bank of Spain's vault on the internet, and sees the words, "impossible mechanism," mentioned. This makes him even more curious. He calls his dad and says he's going to Spain for a few days. The very next day, Tom meets with Walter's team. Walter is thrilled to meet him. He first introduces him to Klaus, who's a hacker. Then there's James, who will manage the planning, entry, and extraction, and will also lead the mission. Finally, there's Simon, who's known for being highly versatile. Walter believes Tom is one of the world's geniuses, but James sees him as inexperienced. James doubts that Tom can turn the impossible into reality by becoming the mastermind of this heist. Next, we see Simon and James in the subway. After the train departs, they enter the subway tunnel, searching for something there. Meanwhile, Walter takes Tom aside and mentions the name Sir Francis, who was a private seller back in the 1500s. Sir Francis took Spain's treasure but didn't give it to England. Instead, he hid the treasure somewhere. Walter has been looking for these coins for 30 years, and he believes they are still inside the Bank of Spain's vault. The Bank of Spain is among the most secure buildings globally, with cameras and sensors placed all over. If anything goes amiss, alarms will go off, and the guards below will respond with force. Across from the bank stands the Spanish Army's headquarters, housing 500 soldiers prepared for any scenario. Above them is Security Chief Gustavo, who once led Spain's anti-terrorist task force. Walter's strategy involves tunneling into the bank to gain access. Simon and James begin measuring the various tunnel routes, but they're still unaware of the vault's vulnerabilities. However, they do understand that to unlock the vault, they'll need 2 keys and Gustavo's thumbprint. They have some 19th century pictures and manage to obtain a sketch drawn by a former bank employee in 1940. According to this information, there's a bridge in the middle that leads to the vault, which is packed with fail-safe mechanisms. So, if you can't disable the emergency system when you enter, you won't be able to leave. That's the critical detail they need to figure out. The following day, they plan to use a magnetometer device to scan and understand the bank structure. However, they face their first challenge right from the start. The bank's facial recognition system is linked to Interpol's database, and James, having worked for the British Special Forces, would be immediately identified. In a bold move, Thomas volunteers to take James's place. Besides James, he's the only one who knows how to operate the magnetometer device. So, pretending to be cleaning vendors, both of them enter the bank. Lauren, on the other hand, poses as an insurance officer with the task of verifying valuable paintings in the chairman's room. Claus takes charge and skillfully installs the device by temporarily disabling the surveillance in the server room. He gains control over all the surveillance cameras. While in the bank, once Lauren finds a moment of privacy, Claus quickly scans her paintings. He records her actions, slows down the playback, and discreetly displays them on Gustavo's screen. Now, Gustavo remains unaware that Lauren is taking the keys from the safe. Before the chairman returned, Lauren completed her task and began working on the next one. Meanwhile, Thomas, in the room directly above, activated the device. Suddenly, the bank staff enters the meeting room, but the device got stuck halfway. To resolve this, they'll need to deliver a sudden power jolt to get it back on track. There's a risk of setting off a fire alarm due to the pressure, but there's no alternative. So, once the device is fixed, the alarm goes off, and Gustavo locks down the building following emergency procedures. As a result, the chairman enters the room to escort Lauren out before she can even place the key. Now, the second key remains with Lauren. If the missing key is discovered, they'd all be in trouble. However, Thomas discreetly takes the key from Lauren and returns it to its place, preventing a major crisis for them all. As they study the data the next day, they understand that in the vault, there is a part just above which the device cannot identify. There is also an empty chamber just below. But Thomas does not understand what those connected lines and that section are. After brainstorming, Thomas solves the mystery that the section is filled with water. Thomas makes a guess that this is a system that, when activated, will fill the vault with water, causing it to collapse into the empty chamber. Building on this idea, they unravel another mystery. Those sketches represent the Lady of Justice. This implies that the entire mechanism functions like a scale. As soon as someone enters the vault, the scale detects the difference and seals the vault while flooding it with water, preventing anyone from entering or leaving. The following day, after an exhaustive search, the team locates the hidden giant weighing scale in a secret tunnel. However, they receive discouraging news that it will take them days to break through the wall, time they don't have. This turns out to be a dead end for them. So they will redirect the bank's security camera toward the crowd, and opt to access the bank through the upper route. On the day of the bank heist, the World Cup final is scheduled, and the match will be broadcast in front of the bank. Now, the most pressing question is how to prevent the scale from activating. Thomas tirelessly works day and night in search of a solution. Then, one day, while observing nitrogen in a bartender's hands, he has a breakthrough. He demonstrates that he can freeze the scale using nitrogen. This freezing action will freeze the entire mechanism, preventing the flood detection system from triggering. With the plan in place, Simon is assigned the task of freezing the scale, while Walter and Klaus oversee the operation. Thomas, Lauren, and James make their initial move to rob the bank as the camera shifts to the crowd. On the day of the World Cup, the bank is sealed, and capitalizing on this opportunity, the three of them successfully enter and quickly make their way toward the storage room. Gustavo remains entirely unaware that a looped recording of Klaus is playing on his monitor. The three of them reach the bridge using the ventilation system and the lift section. Lauren and Thomas manage to escape to the other side using a portable ladder. James almost sets off the alarm, but they grab him and the ladder just in time. Afterward, with Klaus's expertise, they open the entry door and finally reach the vault. They successfully unlock the vault using the copied keys and Gustavo's thumbprint. Lauren managed to steal Gustavo's thumbprint in their first survey of the bank. Before they enter the vault, Simon empties all the nitrogen bottles onto the scale. They all take a risky step forward, and luckily, it pays off. However, their worst nightmare is on the horizon. The scale activates as soon as ice melts, and Gustavo soon realizes there's an intrusion from above through the ceiling. The surprises keep coming, as it turns out James has been working for British intelligence under Margaret. He grabs the box from them. However, before he can make his escape, the vault locks down immediately as the scale detects the intrusion, and it starts filling with water from all sides. James, being an expert diver, manages to escape through the water, leaving the others behind. But Thomas isn't here to meet his end. He uses his mind and realizes that the vault lacks modern sensors or detectors since it was designed 80 years ago when such technology didn't exist. The water filling will only stop when the scale registers that it's filled to a certain weight. Realizing this, Thomas urgently asks Simon to place all the nitrogen cylinders on the scale and works quickly. Just as he's about to succumb to drowning, Thomas's idea actually works. However, the entire army is now converging on his location. When they reach the vault, they don't find anyone because both Thomas and Lauren have taken the same path towards storage. But the danger isn't over yet. Lauren recalls that the chairman's window lock was broken. They enter the crowd through the window in that room, and Gustavo is unable to shoot them because he fears causing a stampede. In the end, both of them manage to escape safely by disappearing into the crowd. The following day, after betraying his team, James meets Margaret. He hands over the coins, but to his misfortune, it's revealed that the coins are fake. This revelation makes it clear that during that time, Lauren had swapped the real coins with fake ones, following Walter's orders because he had already grown suspicious of James. Walter has managed to elude the law's grasp. The coordinates from the coins lead to the Bank of England. The movie then fast-forwards a few years, showing Lauren entering the Bank of England during the Olympics. This indicates that their next heist will target the Bank of England, and the movie ends at this point. So that's for today. Please subscribe to our channel if you like this video, which is the most important way to support us in making more great videos like this.